Hello everybody, my name is Sniping is Fun, and I welcome you back to my next top 10 list I'm presenting all of you here on YouTube. And today, the tried and true topic that my channel has really been about for the better part of almost 4 years or so now, 5 years, Smash Brothers discussions. We just, like a year ago, finally had the last DLC character, Sora, for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Smash Bros. 5, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is done in the books, and now it's the ride to the inevitable, potentially, next Smash Brothers 6. And while I think it's way too early to do any sort of predictions and speculation, I wait until a game usually is around being announced, and we still have a good few years before that ever's going to happen. Give Sakurai some rest right now. Don't go into speculating and predicting super hard until something comes up and Nintendo or Sakurai announces something. But me being loving talking about speculation and whatnot in Smash Brothers. Let me fix this. Crap. Perfect. Okay. I needed to do it. I needed to do a video because I love talking about that stuff, but don't expect any speculation and predictions from my channel for a few more years until we finally get something more concrete when Nintendo jumps on their 10th gen system, the successor to the Switch. But I wanted to do this since it's been a little over a year since Smash Ultimate ended. I wanted to give my thoughts on my top 10 as of now, because this list is ever changing, and if you keep your same list throughout every single Smash speculation, you're doing it wrong, because you kind of have to gauge the gaming industry and gauge how Nintendo's doing things to really kind of see who's going to be in the next Smash Bros. Game, because there sometimes is a pattern to it. But my top 10 as of now, potential newcomers for the next Super Smash Bros. Game. And let's get that started now. I got the list here on my phone once it loads up. And we're going to start with number 10, and I'm going to say the Octolines from the Splatoon franchise, specifically because it's the newest entry in the series, Splatoon 3. In Smash Ultimate, we finally got the Inklings. We finally got Splatoon represented in Smash Bros. People thought that was going to happen during the DLC of Smash Bros. 4, but we got a costume as DLC, and that's really about it. We didn't get the Inklings until they were the first newcomer announcement for Smash Ultimate when that game was announced. The Octolines are the big antagonists of the franchise, and if there's any character you really want to do, if Splatoon is ever to get a secondary character, I would say the Octolines. Instead of doing one of the celebrity, popular type characters or a major villain, the Octolines are technically, in some conscience anyways, an antagonist of the franchise anyway, so you're getting an enemy character in Smash Brothers, but it's also a customizable unit character like the Inklings, so you could have 8 costumes or more of various different Octoline costume type stuff, and you could also give them different weaponry that the Inkling doesn't have, so it's like a Echo type fighter with different unique abilities, all different costumes. I think it's the best bet to really do instead of doing a specific Splatoon character to put into a secondary rep for Splatoon. Just throw in the Octolines and kind of make what you did with the Inklings, but a second time differentiate them up enough so that they're unique, and then give them all cool different unique costumes. I think that's the simplest thing right now, and I think the Splatoon franchise has grown big enough since it debuted on the Wii U to warrant a second character. Now, number 9 goes to a certain type of character, but not one that we know of just yet. Pikmin 4 is on its way out on the Switch, I think in 2023, unless they delay the game. We're finally getting Pikmin 4, which has been speculated and rumored since the final days of the Wii U. I'm predicting whoever the protagonist is of that game should be a potential newcomer idea to join Olimar/Elf, who's an alternate costume. And people say, oh, but it might just be Olimar. There's potential chance Olimar might be the main character of 4, but they've added new characters to every single game since Pikmin 1. Pikmin 2 added Louie. Pikmin 3, all 3 of the characters were unique and different, and Elf became an alternate costume for Olimar. Who's to say we're not going to get some sort of new character, and maybe they might be an alternate costume to Olimar like Elf was, or maybe they might be their own unique character. But I do think Pikmin is it's a fairly big enough franchise that debuted back on the GameCube that I think might potentially warrant a new character, just like I mentioned with Splatoon. I do think, or at the very least, they could be an alternate costume to Olimar. And I think Pikmin 4 might be that game that we might see a character from if Pikmin is to ever get another character in Smash Bros. Number 8 is going to go to Jean or Viola from Bayonetta 3. Bayonetta has become a pretty big third party for Nintendo. At first, remember, the first game wasn't on Nintendo at all. It was on PS3 360. And then all the companies pretty much didn't want to do a Bayonetta 2. Nintendo funded it. And ever since Bayonetta 2, it's been exclusive to Nintendo besides the first game. And Bayonetta made it into Smash Bros. 4. Bayonetta as a franchise is pretty damn popular on Nintendo. It sells fairly well. And Bayonetta 3 just came out a few months ago, and until we see Bayonetta 4, that's the most relevant Bayonetta game, or that spin-off game coming out next year too, about Lareza. But John has been in the franchise since the beginning. She could easily be a Bayonetta-esque type Echo character, and Viola is unique and different enough in Bayonetta 3. She might be a major character. I would say that's more so if she continues in the franchise. That depends on if Viola continues. I'm sure John will continue in future, Bayonetta games, but I don't know about Viola so much. But it depends on if she continues, because this spot, like right here, depends on what Bayonetta goes, where the franchise goes after Bayonetta 3. But that's my pick for that. Number 7 is going to go to a tried and true character that a lot of people have been recommending for years. I've seen this happen during Smash Ultimate. It happened during Smash Bros. 4. I'm sure it happened to some extent in Smash Bros. Brawl. And that is Bandana D from the Kirby franchise. I specifically, it just said the Kirby franchise. Because if there ever is to be another Kirby character after Meta Knight, Kirby, and King Dedede, I feel it has to be Bandana D, because he's in every single Kirby game imaginable. There's always, if he's not a playable character in a multiplayer Kirby game, he's always a background character. He's important. He shows up. If we have to get another Kirby character at any point in time, unless some other character gets a massive boost in a future Kirby game, I think Bandana D is that choice. We are now at number 6, and this goes to another franchise that it's supposed to be getting a new game like a year ago, and the company that makes this game already has its other franchise represented well, really well, perfect to the point where it deserves that representation. But this franchise has yet to get anything besides an assist trophy back in the day. Some music, I think, maybe stickers or trophies or something, and that's Advance Wars. Andy from Advance Wars, because we're now getting Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp. Finally, hopefully sometime coming out. Nintendo, way forward, please bring that game out now. There's no point in delaying it anymore. And that could be a reboot to the franchise where we finally get some new Advance Wars games that might be like Fire Emblem Three Houses or Echoes, and it might be bringing back the franchise, and the main character of the franchise is Andy, and he's been requested since Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and he could have a unique healer type moveset, make him like a commanding officer controlling units like the assist trophy from back in Brawl. You could do well more than enough with him, and if it's not Andy, pick Max or Sammy or Olaf or somebody. But I would pick Andy because he's the main character of the Advance Wars franchise, and hopefully 1+2 Reboot Camp brings the franchise back so Intelligent Systems makes a new game. We are now in the top 5. Number 5. We have to have a Pokemon rep here. And the newest Pokemon game is Pokemon Violet and Scarlet. And whatever you think about that game, and yes, there's a lot of negatives to it, there's a lot of positives to it, but as of now, that's the newest Pokemon game. And like Fire Emblem, Pokemon always gets a new character. Fire Emblem Pokemon always get new characters ever since frickin' forever. And my pick is Meowscarada, because first and foremost, we don't have a grass starter just yet, besides Ivysaur in the Pokemon Trainer, and that's if the Pokemon Trainer comes back for Smash Bros. 6. But I think out of all the starters in Violet Scarlet, it's like the most interesting. The cat that becomes Puss in Boots, grass type moves. I think it looks the most interesting. It's the most unique and different. I don't need a freaking dancing duck or the giant fire alligator. I think we could have Meowscarada. I think that's the best choice as of now for a Pokemon rep because Violet and Scarlet are the new big Pokemon games. And obviously, it's probably not going to stick because by the time Smash 6 ever comes out, we're going to have the 10th generation of Pokemon at the very least. And, you know, Paldea, Pokemon, Scarlet, and Violet are going to be pretty much thrown to the wayside. But as of now, I picked Meowscarada because out of all the starters for this generation, I think it's the most unique and different and stands out, and I like it the most. Okay, so number 4 is going to go to a Metroid character, Metroid Dread, and it's going to be the big bad of the game, Ravenbeak, who's pretty much like, you know, Samus's father. It's a Chozo, which would be cool because the franchise usually revolves around not only Metroids, but Chozos, since Samus was raised by Chozo and she's part Chozo. Ravenbeak had a really cool final battle. I could just imagine flying around doing the one wing thing, all the different attacks he would have, the connection to Samus. Unless Metroid Prime 4 introduces a big major side character or villain, if Metroid is to get another character at this point, I would pick Ravenbeak because he was so unique and so interesting, and he has so much moveset potential. We are in the top 3! And this is another character that represents a whole major franchise, and I mainly picked her because of her revival in her said franchise, and that's Pauline from the Mario franchise, and you can include her as a Donkey Kong character too, I guess, but she's mostly a Mario character really at this point. Since Pauline got revived with Mario Odyssey, she's been starting to show up in multiple different games. I think she's in Mario Strikers Battle League right now. She was in Mario Golf. I don't think she was in Mario Tennis Aces, but she's been starting to slowly pop up. And you know what this reminds me of? The push for Rosalina once she started in Mario Galaxy. And that's pretty much what got her into Smash Bros. 4. After Mario Galaxy, Rosalina was in everything for Mario. It was like she was in Mario Kart, she was in Mario Sports Games, she was in Mario Party, she was in everything. She showed back in Mario Galaxy. She was playable in 3D World. Rosalina started being used in everything, and Pauline's kind of getting into that camp soon. She hasn't been in the Mario Kart just yet, but unless they add DLC to Mario Kart 8 that includes characters, I'm assuming when Mario Kart 9 finally comes out, you want to know who's going to be on the roster? Pauline. You want to know when the next Mario Party game comes out? Pauline's probably going to be in the game. The next Mario Sports games, Pauline. Pauline's starting to get used a little bit more ever since her revival and return in Mario Odyssey. I think in terms of a Mario character, she's the one right now that stands out the most. More so than Captain Toad, more so than Paper Mario, and sure as hell more than Waluigi. Number 2. Because I had to pick a Pokemon character, I have to pick a Fire Emblem character. And right now, Alear, the main character of Fire Emblem Engage, until we see Fire Emblem 19, Fire Emblem 18, which is Fire Emblem Engage, is the latest, biggest, newest Fire Emblem. So, and the moveset potential being, it'll be kind of like Korra in a way because the character's part dragon, but also has more unique stuff. You can use some of the engage elements on this character, on him and her, and this is your way of probably representing like freaking Sigurd or Micaiah or something by having the character maybe have some elements of using the engage rings and using the power of Micaiah, Sigurd, Leif, and all these old characters that will never make it into Smash Bros. Now. As part of their moveset, they can have unique moveset, obviously the design with the red and blue hair, and obviously it's the latest, newest, biggest Fire Emblem game, and out of all the characters that have been standing out, the main character, Lear, is the one that seems to be sticking out the most, design-wise, moveset potential-wise, the game's unique age system. I think he could do quite well, and if we have a new Pokemon, we have to have a new Fire Emblem, and since forever, every new game, every new Smash Bros. Has had at least one new Pokemon and one new Fire Emblem, and my pick, as of now, is Alear from Fire Emblem Engage. And before we get to number 1, I have numerous honorable mentions I want to mention here, and let's go over them pretty quickly. Kunio and Ricky from the River City franchise. They're in River City Girls 2 now that just came out. If anyone from that franchise should be put in, it's Kunio and Ricky, and they've been around pretty much since freaking Nintendo started, so major third parties there. Emmy from Metroid Dread. I picked Ravenbeak as more of a major character because he is the final boss, but the Emmy robots were kind of unique and they could have pretty interesting moveset potential too. Hikari from Octopath Traveler 2. If anyone from that franchise, from that game, pretty much would make a great character, I think it'd be Hikari because he's a samurai and sword gameplay. I know these sword haters will hate it, but he'd have enough unique stuff to make him interesting. Sammy from Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp / the Advance Wars franchise. If it's not Andy, it's probably Sammy. I think Andy would be more unique, but Sammy would be more of a fighter, so if they want more of a fighting-based as character, she has gun control, she can fight, and she could be also a commanding officer, like I mentioned with Andy. The Metroid Prime 4 antagonist, depending on how they go at Metroid Prime 4, that character might overshine Ravenbeak, but as of now, Ravenbeak is my major Metroid decision for inclusion. Armorage from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Chances are they'd pick a freaking starter type, unless it's a super legendary, because Armorage is more so, or Armarouge is just a side Pokemon, but I thought his sword fire kind of technique was interesting enough. But chances are it'd be a starter, but chances also would be the 10th generation Pokemon, because I'm sure we won't get Smash 6 for a while, and we're going to get a new Pokemon before then. But as of now, it's Meowscarada. Crash Bandicoot, because Crash Bandicoot games are still coming out, and they still come to Nintendo, and he's a gaming icon. And then Rabbids Peach, because for Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, so that's the Mario and Rabbids franchise, because the Rabbids Ubisoft crossover with Mario seems to be pretty big enough, and Peach Rabbids seems to be the one that gets the most push from fans. So before we get to number 1, let's count down the rankings again from 10 to 2. 10 is Octolines from Splatoon. 9 is the Pikmin 4 protagonist. 8 is John or Viola from Bayonetta 3 / the Bayonetta franchise. 7 is Bandana D from Kirby. 6 is Andy from Advance Wars. 5 is Meowscarada from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. 4 is Ravenbeak from Metroid Dread. 3 is Pauline from the Mario franchise. And 2 is Alear from Fire Emblem Engage. Number 1, let's drum roll please. Who is my number 1 as of now pick for Newcomer or Smash Bros. 6? The next Smash Bros. Is Noah or Mio from Xenoblade Chronicles 3, because probably, in my opinion, the biggest game from Nintendo this year has been Xenoblade Chronicles 3. People have been wanting to see a new Xenoblade. Xenoblade has grown a lot since the days of Operation Rainfall. It's been growing a lot since we had to fight for the games to come to America. The franchise is pretty much all the games are now on Switch. 1 got remastered, 2 is on there, the 2 Golden Chronicles, 3 now. We're obviously going to get Xenoblade Chronicles 4 at some point. Maybe we'll hopefully get Xenoblade Chronicles X2 at some point. The franchise has grown a lot since day 1, and it's become one of Nintendo's biggest RPGs in forever, outside of Pokemon and Fire Emblem. I think there needs to be a new character to join Shulk, and then, like the Xenoblade Chronicles characters. In my opinion, it's either Noah or Mio, because they're technically both the main character of Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and as of now, they're the newest, biggest main characters for Xenoblade. I'd probably pick Noah specifically because he is the main character, but Mio is also pretty much the secondary main character of that game. You can go with either or. I picked specifically Noah, but I picked both because it's one or the other at this point. And that's my list. I hope you guys liked it. Put in the comment section what you guys think. Who do you, as of now, think would make good character newcomers for the next Smash Brothers? Let's discuss it down there and have some fun. My name is Sniper's Fun. Peace. Please subscribe if you want to. Have a lovely day. See you all later. And it's Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas, everybody. And I'll see you later in my next video. Bye.